Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into the absolute legend that is Ishtiaq Ahmed. Now, if you happen to grow up in Pakistan during the 80s or 90s, you already know exactly who I'm talking about. He completely transformed Urdu children's literature, basically inventing a whole new world of thrilling mysteries that were packed with really solid moral lessons. So let's just dive right in. Over 800. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the widely reported, quite frankly monumental estimate of novels he wrote. He single-handedly hooked an entire generation of students on fast-paced detective fiction. It's really just mind-blowing. Let's run through some quick facts. Born Ishtiaq Ahmed, this Pakistani journalist turned novelist became the absolute master of mystery, adventure, and fiction. And what's really amazing is his sheer longevity. He remained a highly active, universally beloved writer from the 1970s all the way until 2015. Early life and education. So, taking a look back, he was born in British India in 1944. And then just 3 years later, his family migrated to the newly created Pakistan during the 1947 partition. Growing up in an educated, religious household, young Ishtiaq was a massive bookworm who just loved observing the people around him. By combining his studies in Urdu literature, Islamic studies, and journalism, he basically cracked the code. He developed this incredibly simple, engaging writing style that was totally accessible to everyday kids. Rise to literary fame. Now, he didn't just wake up one day as a best-selling novelist. It was a real journey. He actually started out as a journalist and a magazine contributor, then eventually shifted over to writing children's short stories. And he created such a massive buzz with those stories that publishers practically begged him to write full serialized detective novels. This incredible demand gave birth to absolute cultural icons. We're talking Inspector Jamshaid, Inspector Kamran Mirza, the Shoki brothers. Readers would eagerly count down the days for their monthly adventures. You could find these books absolutely everywhere. They were an essential staple at railway stations, local bookshops, and school libraries. But context is really key here. We have to remember we're talking about the pre-internet era. TV time was super limited, so these printed novels weren't just books. They were the primary source of recreation for students. Plus, they leaned heavily into themes of patriotism and community service, which resonated so deeply with Pakistani youth at the time. The 800 novel phenomenon. What really defined his monumental success? Well, for one, his heroes solved crimes using pure intelligence and deduction, never resorting to violence. And these mysteries were so incredibly gripping that readers would literally devour an entire novel in a single day, just so they could swap it with a classmate at school the next morning. It was exactly this straightforward, accessible style that made the book so enjoyable. And more importantly, it's what built lifelong reading habits for millions of kids. The man behind the books. Despite this rock star level of nationwide fame, Ishtiaq Ahmed was actually a deeply private, incredibly humble guy. He was highly disciplined, and he spent countless hours researching these intricate mysteries. Through it all, he maintained a beautifully simple lifestyle, always prioritizing his young readers over chasing the spotlight. While he didn't exactly leave behind a traditional book of famous quotes, his recurring ethical themes essentially became his life's message. Truth always wins. Courage is stronger than fear. Knowledge is your greatest strength. These weren't just throwaway lines. They were the absolute moral backbone of every single mystery he wrote. A lasting literary legacy. His dedication to his craft was just relentless. Starting his professional writing journey back in the 1970s, he went on to completely dominate the market in the 90s. He received major national recognition in 2013, and he continued inspiring readers right up until he passed away on July 17, 2015. Speaking of that recognition, his crowning formal achievement came in 2013 when he was awarded the Presidential Pride of Performance. It's one of Pakistan's highest civilian honors, and it rightfully cemented his phenomenal contribution to the nation's literature. Ultimately, though, his true legacy goes way beyond any trophies or titles. He single-handedly popularized Urdu detective fiction. He convinced kids to actually put down the TV remote and pick up a book. And he deeply influenced a whole new wave of Pakistani writers by proving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that solid educational values and pulse-pounding storytelling can absolutely coexist. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought. Ishtiaq Ahmed entertained millions while actively promoting bravery, intelligence, and compassion. So the question is,
how do we keep the magic of his phenomenal storytelling alive for the next generation in our fast-paced digital age?